Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TRS Live with your hosts Brian Keller, Matt Trotz, and Zach Hoffman, presented by The Real Shot.
I'ma do this here forever.
EQ.
Forever.
Triune.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I'ma do this here forever.
Let's go.
All you haters better get comfy. This the day you've been waiting on. Y'all road is finna get bumpy. This the track I'm making my statement on. I ain't going nowhere. This the place that I'm making home. I'll do this shit forever. Hit the gas and I'm taking off. Ow. I was born with passion. My job is never ending and my hustle's everlasting. No matter what, I'm gon' ball, even with my back to the wall. And the best part is that this is the beginning. I'ma do this here forever. Forever.
He's always doing that.
No.
Always. Yes,
you
you
did
are.
it first.
Yeah, but mine was off before the stream started.
It's because my computer was way behind schedule.
Oh,
well, good
boy.
morning.
Good morning, everybody.
It's
tensions are high here in the TRS Live
It
studio.
is. It all started when I bumped our camera right before we go live.
It all started at 8 o'clock this morning when we had to make a phone call. Cool, we're here.
We are here.
We're
I was
here.
proud of Zach not punching me when I messed his camera up.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not a big deal. I just gotta adjust some things and, redo everything I did 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, it's Wednesday, someplace in America today. And
Are we sure it's not Monday?
Kinda
Pretty sure it's not Monday.
It felt like a Monday.
I woke up on a Monday side of the bed.
Me too. I don't know what side that is, but
I think it's the
anger
left.
side.
It's like
Anger.
the left when you're looking
Every
at it.
day's a Friday when I come in the real show.
Oh,
Yeah?
nice.
All good.
Nice.
Nice.
Way to come with it, Miles. So we have Miles Warwick here. He's the Sportco, right?
Yes, sir.
Representative. And he's got a pile of product in front of us, all the way from Shimano, as I call it, or as a lot of people call it Shimano. Oh, you're supposed to put your mic closer
How's
to your
that?
face.
It's kind of like where if you're shooting a bow, where you
Tip
kinda
it
right
put
in
it
the-
right
right
on
in
the
the
kiss your
button?
corner.
Yeah, right
Yep.
in the kisser button.
Kiss
Right
there
there.
you go.
Boom, look at that.
Now
Very
say
good.
something.
How's that?
Oh,
That's
that's way
perfect.
better.
Yeah.
Welcome
Gear
to the
ratio.
welcome to the show.
Gear
John-
ratio.
Gear. So, Miles, go over what product you rep for.
Okay, so Shimano North American Fishing consists, of course, of Shimano, G Loomis, Power Pro,
Nice.
and Jackall.
Nice.
The other product line that we're going to talk to you about today is a new line for Sportco marketing and really United States is Hayabusa hooks. So we're going to go over all that in detail.
Yep.
We're going to cover new products, and we're going to talk about unique technologies that Shimano brings to the table and a little background on Shimano
That's
that you might not get conveyed to you just when you're talking to your average person behind the counter.
Nice.
That was the most professional I've ever heard Miles sound. That was awesome.
Yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid this morning.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
that was really good.
I'm all in. I'm excited now.
I'm excited.
Now I got to come in every week.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to move my computer so we can see all this awesome product.
That's a good idea.
First and foremost, Miles is in here. He's going to talk about this stuff, but he wanted us to get out there right away that if anybody comes in today between now and 3 or 4 o'clock, you're leaving at what time?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
You're here that long?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And buys a Shimano rod or a Shimano reel. While supplies last, they'll get their choice of a hat.
Nice.
And then he's also going to spool you up with Power Pro for free $99. That's free.
Free 99?
Free $99.
You have to be careful when you say that because there are people are going to be like, oh, it's free, but I have to charge 99 cents. What's that for? Got to be careful, man.
So, today, right now, until, we're going to say 4 o'clock, because we're going to make you stay for another hour. Buy a Shimano rod or reel. Miles is going to give you a hat and spool you up with Power Pro.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
That's
Power Pro?
awesome.
Power Pro.
Power Pro.
Power Pro.
Okay.
Good stuff.
There it is.
So one thing I'd like to talk about with regards to Shimano that you, again, don't hear from every sales associate behind the counter is some of the unique technologies that Shimano brings to the market. One of them being the Hagane gear. The Hagane gear is a drive gear that's featured on price points even below Noski, but the Noski is a good example.
Yep.
They have a 200-ton press in Japan that slams an aluminum puck once. And in that one slam, they perfectly form the drive gear. It is the hardest, purest drive gear on the market. And that translates into smoothness over time, and just longevity on your reel. It'll stay smooth throughout the life of the reel. A lot of reels will feel good out of a box.
Yep.
And that's easy to do. But when you put it under load and you spend years cranking spinner baits or something with a lot of resistance in the water, that's when you've got a superior product. We don't play the ball bearing game necessarily with a Shimano either. Sometimes you're taken back by a Shimano reel. Well, it's, let's say, $230 only has 5 or 6 ball bearings.
Right.
Because what really matters is the quality of the ball bearings and the way the ball bearings are kept in alignment. So we mentioned the Hagane gear, but then the Hagane body also aids in keeping your ball bearings and your gears in perfect alignment. I had a Japanese engineer tell me one time, you only need 5 ball bearings in any reel. It's all about the quality of the ball bearings, sealed ball bearings, and keeping everything in alignment. And that's one thing that Shimano brings to bear.
Well, I would think that nobody could argue the longevity of a Shimano reel.
Right.
I mean, they are probably the longest lasting reels you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
And Hagane being a new technology, it's been out for about 2 or 3 years now. But again, on the technology aspect of it, we also have Curado DC and Metanium DC, which is the higher level of the DC products. We had the Calais DC when I first came on board with Shimano about a decade ago. The technology isn't entirely different, but it's enhanced. So with the Curado DC, you have your primary cast control like you do on all reels. When you get your hands on this, you want to set this so that the lure slowly hits the ground and doesn't backlash when it hits the ground. Then you only have 4 settings on the dial on the side. That dial controls the onboard computer. So in this reel, you have a magnet and a servo, and when you cast it, it generates electrical current that actually feeds the onboard computer. There are video clips, and we're going to try to do one here after the show and post it to the Reel Shot that shows the reel in action.
Okay.
The onboard computer controls your cast 1,000 times per second, not per minute, but per second. So when it comes to
1,000 times per second?
Per second.
Jeez.
So when you cast into the wind, when you're trying to just get overall distance, casting accuracy, there's nothing like DC technology. You've got magnets, magnetic cast control, doesn't really work. You put that dial to one position and it only puts a fixed amount of force.
Right.
When you cast, you go from 0 to 60, and then gradually it slows down.
Right.
A magnet can't keep up with that. The next technology would be centrifugal anti-backlash, and we have that in multiple forms. We have the SVS braking system and the more traditional VBS braking system, which come in the store and I'll explain that to you. But basically you're putting centrifugal force when you cast the lure. The spool generates speed. The weights work against the spool, and it slows your lure down through momentum.
Nice.
So Curado DC and Metanium DC, new products, 3
You-
gear
you
ratios,
can't-
right and left hand.
You can't backlash that reel, can you?
You can, but you really have to try.
Okay.
You know, you hit a dock and you have it set at level 1 with this bat
It
with
just
your
can't
primary
react that
cast
fast,
control.
yep.
But I mean, once you get the swing of it, it's really hard to backlash. Great way to introduce kids to using
Right, that's what
bait
I was
casting.
thinking for sure. Yep.
Walleye fishermen casting like shad wraps, baits that you are on the fence, whether you use a spinning rod or a casting rod,
Yep.
you're going to have more cranking power, obviously, with a bait caster
Right.
than a spinning rod.
What gear ratios does it come in?
So it comes in. You got me. 6 point.
Winner.
It's in the 6.2.
Do I get a hat?
In the 6.2 range, 7.4 I believe it is,
Okay.
and like a 8.2. So
awesome.
So it comes in a full range of gear ratios, right and left hand. So
Awesome.
they're limited availability right now. If you can find one, buy one, because we can't build enough of them. The bass market is taking up a lot of inventory. We can't make enough.
Ty says we're selling out of them. We need to order a pile more.
Yep.
So, Miles, you got a fan club. Dan, I'm going to say Leitner,
Owner of the Post Office Bar in Red
Yep.
Granite, Wisconsin.
He says, what's up? He's watching, and then he also says he wants a hat. And then Tanner
He'll
Warwick.
just raffle it off at the bar anyway.
Right. Well, you'll probably end up winning it, won't you?
I doubt that.
And then Tanner Worley, Coldwater Miles Warwick.
God dang it, Coldwater.
Yeah, dude.
There's a joke behind
Your
it.
fan club is here. God, there's so many. Kyle, has Miles ever done any television work? Kyle Danhausen?
Kyle's our rep in Illinois.
Oh, there you go.
Heck
There
of
you
a
go.
guy. Yep.
Wow.
Very accomplished bass angler.
Nice.
You are the man. He's the
He's a
celebrity.
celebrity.
We're
Yeah,
just the peon.
absolutely.
We're the peons. What about flipping with that? I mean, obviously casting, is flipping going to be any different?
The problem with a flipping switch is it's more moving parts, more to go wrong. But you can
Oh, you can flip
re-engage your reel with a Corrado by pushing forward on the thumb bar, so you don't have to crank the reel to
Oh.
re-engage it. That's
Perfect.
one thing with guys dragging flies around
Yeah,
here. They
that's
want a
what I was gonna
left-handed
say.
reel with
The
a flipping switch so
yep.
that they can make adjustments in depth rapidly. And so at Corrado K, if you didn't want to spend the money for a DC, you're looking at a $200 price point reel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's another area that another reason to buy a Corrado.
Right. Cool.
Other new reels for this year, the SLX series. One of the biggest growth segments in the market is the college and high school bass
huge.
arena, and the SLX. We have a line of low-profile bait casting reels. Again, 3 gear ratios, right and left hand. Retail price point $99.99.
Awesome.
We also have a matching SLX rod series in spinning and casting.
Yep.
We don't have a spinning SLX yet. But this will allow somebody who doesn't have a ton of disposable
A
income
spinning reel, you mean?
to spin it. We don't have an SLX spinning reel yet. We've
Yeah.
got the SLX
Yep.
low-profile bait
Bait
caster.
caster, yep.
So what the SLX series allows somebody who doesn't have a ton of disposable income is to set up multiple application-specific
At a rate,
rods
yep.
and load their boat up and be fully ready for any situation.
That SLX rod for spinning reel, does that come in different size, or is it just 7 foot?
No, there's a 610, I believe. I don't have the catalog in front of me, but
But do they come in like a 6.6 for walleye jigging?
I believe it's 610, but I could
Okay.
we'd have to look that
We
up
were-
to verify that.
Ty and I were just looking for samples for you to talk about today, and we noticed that we only have 7 footers, so we weren't sure if.
Right.
But yeah,
Another new reel for this year is the Dakota. Not a new reel per se. In the 500 and 600, though, there is a new design.
yeah, they.
I was gonna say it looks way different.
Yep.
So what they changed with the Dakota is there's additional waterproofing.
Okay.
It went to a higher gear ratio. And I heard talking to somebody the other day, oh, it went to a higher gear ratio, so it's not as powerful. I just love these people that have nothing to do, probably never even held the reel before, and automatically make the assertion that because we went to a higher gear ratio, it's not as powerful.
Right.
Think about a Tranks 500 high gear. You could probably pull a four-wheeler out of a ditch with a Tranks high gear.
Those reels are impressive. The Tranks.
Right. Well, that's what we did here. Is
Right.
you have enhanced, higher efficiency gearing, so you will be able to pull that board in quicker, but you're not going to lack power because we've enhanced the gears.
Right.
You have a beefier handle, and again, the 500 and 600s are the only ones that have gone through this modification so far. We went to a louder clicker, a louder audible click, so you can tell what's going on, especially low light conditions in the dark, beta knock,
Yep.
really handy. So available in line counter, non-line counter,
That was my next
500 and
question.
600, and left-handed.
Ooh.
So a lot of this market belongs to like charter captains. You don't see a lot of charter captains running anything but Dakotas because they're built to last.
That's what we use.
You know, if a guy's going to set up 6 trolling planer board combos, it gets pricey, but if you do it all the time,
You
you,
gotta have
have
the
to
best.
have the tool for the job.
Yep.
So
And these don't wear out.
that's a new Dakota. Line counter 500 is $209.99 retail. So they went up a little bit, but there's a lot more reel there.
Well, and now with us having so much Great Lakes tackle in and everything like that,
Right,
this
for
is-
sure.
we have a pile of these already, and I think we have the line counters in stock as
Oh, I'm
well.
sure we do.
so, yeah. Remember,
And one thing you'll notice, too, is it's a little bit more comfortable. They went to a modified low-profile design, smaller B side, which is the opposite
Yep.
side from the gear side, so it'll be more comfortable in your
yep,
hand,
it
too.
feels really nice. Sweet.
Technology that isn't necessarily new, but this is a good example of what Shimano brings to bear. Now, Shimano is an industrial gear company, obviously.
Is that a CI4 on there?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
When
We're giving one of those away, aren't
Yeah, we're giving a
Yeah.
CI4 away.
we? We are giving one
There's
away.
got to be only 8 days left in that giveaway.
Something like that. It's coming to an end real soon here.
Yeah, so Miles, I think we talked about it last time, but we are giving away a Shimano CI4 Plus 2500.
This
Now
is
you-
the 1,000 size.
Yep.
We have the 2500. We're giving one away.
8
right
days
there.
left.
8 days left. Oh, let's get to 10,000 on that thing. Man, let's get there. So, yeah.
I'm kind of bouncing around, but to get back to Shimano technology, Shimano's a gear company. Shimano's one of the only companies, real companies, mainstream real companies, that designs and builds all of their reels from bottom to top. They design and build them.
Wow.
That's very rare. A
Yeah.
lot of companies send a spec sheet to China, and we want this number of ball bearings, this gear ratio, this color handle, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But this is a good example of technology that Shimano brings to bear. What makes the Stratic CI4 special is it came from the bike side. When we made crank arms for the Tour de France, this is made of a graphite reinforced carbon resin. So it's 30% lighter than the standard Stratic FK. So 30% lighter is significant.
Oh, it's huge.
If you're vertical jigging,
Yep.
and you're going to be doing that all day, it makes it a lot lighter. If you're going to be casting all day, again, you go to the 3000 size and you'll just have an amazingly smooth machine. So the Stratic CI4 is one of our flagship reels, especially in this market with spinning being so popular.
Is there a bait caster that's similar to that as far as the weight reduction?
Oh, sure. We have the Chronarch CI4, and you basically just go to the Shimano website, and if you have any questions on weight, gear ratios, number of ball bearings, what type of gearing we have, micromodule gearing, for example, is on certain reels, and all that's on the website. So micromodule gearing, when you see that icon on a Shimano box, what that means is that a standard gear, you'll have 2 or 3 teeth engaged at one time on a drive gear. And with micromodule gearing, it's a finer tooth gear, it's a wider gear. So you'll have 4 or 5 teeth engaged at one time. The result, smoother under load, and it'll last a lot longer too. So keep your eyes out for products like the new Antares, for example, the Conquest. Keep your eyes out for reels. If you want a really long-lasting reel, you want to spend some money, get micromodule gearing. It's incredible.
Shimano sounds incredible.
They are. Like I said before, if you want a reel that's just going to last forever,
Right.
for the average guy, right? You're not gonna you can't wear them out.
You know, at some consumer shows, I'm taken back. When we came out with Tranks 500, why is Shimano charging $500 for a reel?
It doesn't last
It's
you forever.
like, well, we're trying to come out with something that's going to last a long time,
Right.
and your time on the water is worth something.
Absolutely.
And the more enjoyable it is, the stronger, lighter, faster the products you have in your hand, you're just going to have more enjoyable time, and it's going to last longer. Actually, it becomes more cost-effective to spend a little bit more because it will last longer.
We talk about that a lot on here.
Yep.
But when you do get to go out, you want your stuff to work.
And another aspect of Shimano, too, is our customer service department. It's unbelievable. You talk to people at shows that actually send their reels into Shimano to have them repaired, and all that information's on our website. If the second you feel a tick or anything suspicious with your reel, and it's November, send your reel in and have them go through the whole thing, and it goes a long way.
That's awesome.
Good point. Good point.
Very nice.
Reels, rods. What else for rods? I know
Rod
we-
technology, probably the thing that gets bypassed again when a customer walks into average stores, talking about the new Spiral X and X Power technology. And basically, linear graphite is graphite that runs from tip to butt. Almost all graphite rods are built that way. They're spun around a mandrel and they run from tip to butt. Some of our very high-end Loomis rods, like NRX, are linear graphite. They're made of such a high modulus graphite that it takes a nanoresin to hold the fibers together. Well, one thing that we've developed is High Power X and Spiral X. So what you have is carbon fiber tape that's rolled at an angle. You still have linear graphite as a core, and then with High Power X, you'd have a wrap done at an opposing angle. So you get kind of that checkerboard look.
Yep.
What that allows us to do is run a very thin wall. So we have more carbon content, but yet a very thin wall. And great strength. What happens is when a rod breaks, it hits a point where what we call ovalization, where it turns into a Pringle potato chip, and then worse, and then if you drop an anchor on it, you find out even quicker when that happens.
Right.
But the other thing, too, is it also recovers very quickly and consistently. They put these rods on an oscillation machine, and you take any linear graphite rod, and it'll just flail around. With the High Power X Spiral X, that rod just sits in one spot. This guide, for example, on the videos I've seen, sits perfectly stationary while that rod's being shaken like crazy.
Oh, really?
What that does for you is a greater recovery time. So when you set what time you detect a bite, set the hook, or when you cast, it gives you longer casting and more accurate casting.
Right.
So this technology is something that shouldn't be overlooked by the consumer. Zodius has Spiral X. Conquest in the Loomis line has High Power X, which comes from the X Bride Shimano rod. So those are the three categories of rods that we have that feature that technology. Look into it.
And that one's a Zodius, right?
This is a Zodius 7.6 medium heavy, great frog rod, just Zara spook rod. I'm going to be wearing this thing. I'm going to be putting some hours on this rod this year. I can't wait to get on the water.
Well, and that light rod, on the spinning world side, pairs perfectly with that CI4 just because everything is so light.
Right. We came out this year with a 7'3" medium light, like a deep drop shot rod that is going to light the world on fire for this market because it's got a fast tip. When you see certain series of rods will designate as bass specific. If you're a live bait fisherman, if you're a jig fisherman, the way to really narrow it down as a walleye guy is to look for a drop shot rod because that's where you get that extra fast tip that you can cut right to the chase and ask to look for a drop shot rod if you're looking for a jigging rod.
That's a real good tip because we get a lot of questions on how to, what's the best way to look for a rod and why do you spend more on a rod quality? Obviously, blank material, guide material, reel seed, all that kind of stuff too. But, the extra fast tip and everything like that helps you as more hook sets.
And there's certain applications where you want to spend more money on the reel than on the rod. Crankbait rods, for example, it doesn't take a lot. I mean, we make some really high-end crankbait rods, but the demand is going to be on the reel.
Right, for sure.
Conversely, if
Should
you're
be on
vertical
rod.
jigging, it's all about the rod, and you don't have to spend $300 on a reel.
Right.
So,
I agree.
Joseph wants to know, will Shimano ever bring back, I'm guessing it's the Kumara rods?
There's nothing in the plans right now. Basically, if it does come out, it would have very little to do with the Kumara the way it was. I mean, sometimes we recycle a name, but I think the tendency is to go towards Spiral X and High Power X technology moving forward.
So that's what's going to be the replacement for that rod that he was so much in love with.
Right, that was I understand. I had a shaky head rod, and it was fantastic. Unfortunately, I tightened my drag too much with my jig hooked onto the rod, and it went psh.
Yep.
And so that got replaced with an X-Bride.
Right,
So
right.
there are other options out there. I understand how that goes. You got a favorite rod, favorite reel, but trust me, we keep on bringing out the new stuff.
New
and
stuff,
it's great.
right. Cool.
Awesome. I'm excited to try that drop shot rod. Check that out.
Yeah.
You want to see it? You want me to go over in that
No, it's
corner?
okay. I want to fish it. I'm excited to fish it.
I know
love,
a guy.
I love drop shot fishing.
I know a guy.
Yeah? Awesome. I'm excited to try that. I love drop shot fishing.
So here's a good point. If anybody else has any questions on the Shimano stuff or the G Loomis rods or, Shimano rods as well, hit us up. But I think we can kind of move along. We got a pile of tackle here. Unless you want to continue to talk about Shimano, you got anything else that's...
Well, what we should probably transition to is Power Pro.
That's what I was thinking.
All right,
Let's
good,
go from
good,
the line
good.
to,
Yeah,
right to
yeah,
the
good
line.
point. Yep.
So the history of Power Pro is made of spectra fiber, so it's impervious to sunlight, unlike monofilament, which can dry up and you pull your rod off the rack 2 years later and you get that coily, powdery.
Yep.
My line always gets twisted. Well, it's because you're got all that line memory. It's like a coil, and when you go to flip your bail, it's just going to want to double itself up. So the other benefit, obviously, like I say, is there's no memory to Power Pro. So it's always going to handle like cloth. It's just amazing if you haven't used it. Also, obviously, the thinner diameter. 10-pound Power Pro is the equivalent to 2-pound monofilament.
And they say that, but I don't. I know
It's
tensile.
neighborhoodish.
I know tensile strength wise, but I feel like sometimes with like a 10-pound Power Pro, I can drag my boat around with that. And you're not doing that with, 4-pound mono.
Right. And
What I'm saying is I think it's a lot stronger than what they claim. Is kind of what I'm saying.
yeah, they have to err on the side of caution
Yep.
in some regards with those ratings. But some people say, well, the difficult thing about Power Pro is it takes special scissors to cut it. Well, that's true. You can't cut it with your teeth. My dentist probably doesn't appreciate all the monofilament and fluorocarbon I've cut with my teeth.
Right.
But the benefits greatly outweigh
The
aspect of it.
The big secret to cutting braid is just keep it tight.
Yep.
Mhm.
If you take that tag end and put a little pressure on it before you cut it, the stuff snips right out.
Even a
easy.
cigarette lighter in a pinch will work.
Yep.
And then the other aspect to it too is that we're walleye fishing, we're smallmouth fishing. I love using a high vis line.
I agree.
Now that I've used yellow and a high vis green, it's very difficult for me to use anything but a high vis line for smallmouth fishing, walleye fishing, and current, knowing where your jig is. I feel like I've got a welding mask on if I don't have high vis line.
I'm with you.
So we're going to tie that right to your lure. Well, you can mask it with a magic marker, but what almost everybody does is tie a fluorocarbon leader to it. So I fish a lot of 15-pound super slick, and I attach a 10-pound or 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. Come in today. If you don't feel comfortable tying that knot, I'd be happy to show
What
it
knot
to
do
you.
you use?
I use a uni.
Okay.
Uni,
The double uni?
Double uni. It's just the one I learned. I've pulled scales off 30-pound carp in Winneconne with that knot. And then I'm just like, anybody wants to get an argument about what knot to tie, I'm like, all right, show me, but I'm still going to tie it. Because it becomes muscle memory.
Oh, for sure.
You can tie it in the dark, you know. So
I'll tell you the knot I've been playing around with is the FG knot.
Okay.
I've been playing around with that one. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It does take a little bit longer to tie than a double uni knot because I tie the uni knots on almost everything. But the FG knot diameter-wise is the same diameter as when you're done with it. It's the same diameter as the mono you use for the fluorocarbon leader. That's how thin it is. So
and knowing these knots is really critical. Let's say if you're trolling, you got a Power Pro on your Dakota, and you want to run a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader in clear water. Now you can reel that knot right into your reel, and not have to worry about a guide smashing the aluminum oxide tip out of your rod.
And that's what I was going to say with the FG knot. The reason I started switching to it is I could go from, say, an 18-inch fluorocarbon leader with the double unis because it's a little harder to cast that. I can go to a 15-foot fluorocarbon leader, and I can reel that knot right through and throw it all day long. And then instead of having to retie that knot, I can retie my main knot multiple times through the day. So I don't have to, because the FG knot does take a couple seconds longer to tie than a double uni. But I have to tie it once a day typically.
Well, even musky guys in clear water are doing that now. Tying on 15-foot leaders in clear water, high pressure areas. So back to the history of Power Pro. So standard Power Pro is a 4-carriage weave. What that means is you've got 4 fibers being wrapped together on those. I don't know if you ever saw those machines.
No, I
but
haven't.
it's a 4-carriage weave. Makes for somewhat of a coarse texture to it, which is beneficial for at least 2 applications that I know of. Planer boards. You want a little grip on your planer boards to keep them from sliding off when you're in 3-foot waves, and you don't want to lose a $40 planer board. The other area where standard Power Pro has been historically outsells Super Slick is the muskie market. When guys are throwing pounders, guys and gals are throwing pounders, other really heavy baits that just have a lot of torque when you cast them, the standard Power Pro has a little bit better knot retention. But now we have the new Super Slick V2. Ooh. This is amazing. In fact, it won Best New Line at ICAST this year.
Nice.
Along with this reel, because we already won the freshwater category with Corrado DC, this one Best New Saltwater reel. Boom!
I love the look of that new. I love that. The low profile of that.
Well,
I love that.
You should grip it because it feels a lot better than the other one.
No, I like it.
So in a nutshell, the difference between the Super Slick we knew before and the V2 is that it's wrapped or it's woven with a tighter hatch angle. So if you looked at the fibers under a microscope, instead of looking like this, the new V2 has a harder angle to the fibers. And that results in much more abrasion resistance, and knot retention, and other aspects that just make it wonderful to handle. Colors. The bass and muskie guys are going to love this. It's available in black.
Oh, nice.
It's old school muskie. Throwing frogs.
I was going to say,
like the IOB.
Flipping stuff, that kind of thing.
That's a big a big home run for us. It's also available in blue, which is mostly a saltwater color.
Right.
It's available in a high-vis green
Nice.
instead of high-vis
For your
yellow.
walleye smallmouth guys.
And the traditional moss green, which is our #1 seller.
And are the weights the same? Does it come all the way from
8 to 80.
8 to 80. Perfect. Nice.
Very nice. Let's check
And
that
there's
out.
additional EBT, which is a binding agent that helps it hold its form, makes it even rounder and smoother than ever before.
Is this Onyx? Is that black?
Onyx is
Okay,
black. Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yep. So a lot of that stuff is going to be, if it's not already on the floor on the website, it'll be up there shortly.
Yeah, we
so.
started shipping it a while back. Certain spool our capacities of 150 yard, 300 yard,
Yep.
what color it is, what poundage it is. We're trying to get caught up, but we're shipping it now.
That spool right there, I actually physically grabbed from the store, so that's not. So you're not spooling free rods and reels up with that stuff today.
No, it's whatever the Reel Shot has on hand. We'll do our best to accommodate what you need, and I'm sure we've got something that'll work for you.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
Very nice.
So cool. Now again, that was if you buy a rod or a reel today from now until about 4 o'clock. We're gonna give you a hat while supplies last, and you're also gonna get free Power Pro spooled up on that thing. So don't wait. Get in here. Keep going, Miles. You're doing a great job.
We talked about Shimano. We talked about Power Pro. We talked about reels. So Jackall. Jackall is pretty much a bass-specific product line, but, of course, the swim bait.
Yeah.
Probably one outside of wacky worms, probably one of the biggest categories we've had in soft plastic on the rise in the last,
Well, that thing would
especially
look
2 years,
that would crush walleyes.
but even
yeah.
5 years.
It's huge. And I just got back from Alabama. We were throwing swim baits down there the whole. You don't think about going down south and having to throw finesse swim baits, but we hit a major cold front while we were down there, and that's what we ended up throwing the whole time with swim baits. Just
Right.
maybe it's a northern thing. That's what we do or whatever. But yeah, they catch fish, man.
Of course, I'm kind of partial because I sell the line, but I tell you what, I've used another brand that's very popular. I think it starts with a K.
Yeah, it starts with a K.
And great product, but this Rhythm Wave series is, in my opinion, much more durable, and it still maintains a great swimming action
Right.
on the right
I like
size
the
jig.
width of the body. It's going to give you a different fall rate than if the skinnier bodies, right? I mean, like we're talking about Kitex, right? I mean the kite. Well, no, but the Kitex have a skinnier body to them. They don't have that real wide flat, so they sink a little faster. So this is going to give you a much different fall rate.
Right.
Right, and the Rhythm Wave comes all the way in a 2.8, which could cross over into
yeah.
a Magnum panfish,
Well,
walleye.
that's your smallie killer. That's
Yep.
what that is.
Just so Brian
Sturgeon
catches
Bay.
his 2-pound crappies on.
Yep.
The 2.8s.
all the way to 5.8. So you can even rig up a 5.8 with one of those gigantic
Yeah,
Hayabusa 7-aught hooks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
and tie a 30-pound or 20-pound
Yep,
fluorocarbon
20
leader to
yep.
it and throw it for pike or muskies
Pike or
too,
muskie.
so, or
Yep.
nighttime bass. So we got the full gamut covered with the Rhythm Wave.
Yeah, these are cool looking. This is going to be one right
How
now.
many colors does it come in? Do you know?
He doesn't have a catalog.
I think
He
it's
doesn't-
8. It's in that neighborhood.
Okay.
But come in the Reel Shot, and if we don't have it, we'll order it for
Oh,
you.
absolutely.
So we talked about
Yeah, I don't
swim
know if
baits
you
being
could
a
do
big
that with
category.
with that Kitech. It would have
No.
ripped already.
They're really soft. You go through a lot of them.
Right.
We're going to get back to that because that'll fall under the Hayabusa
Yep.
line. But I
keep
just want
touching
to
it because it's in front of me.
we talked about the popularity of swim baits and wacky worms, and our wacky worm is the Flick Shake. Things you're going to notice about the Flick Shake is that it's a smaller diameter worm and it's tapered at each
I was
end.
gonna say it almost looks like a red worm,
So
size-wise.
it shakes and shimmers
Look at it shaking
on the
in your
fall
hand.
just on its own. That could
Either
be a
that or
little-
you got a caffeine rip.
there
you're
could be some
missing out
coffee, a
on.
little neuropathy, but we won't talk about that. So, Flick Shake comes in a multitude of sizes. That would be the smallest.
It's actually moving on the package.
It's a lie.
Zach said it's mummified. It's actually, when he opened it up, it
Working.
was moving.
I just
I'm
bought
telling you,
this
it
bag
happened.
of Nico Flakes, but that's all right. So this is a new for the Nico rig is a Nico Flick.
That is
And
pretty cool. I
Yeah,
mean,
those are awesome.
yeah.
I like that.
Now what's different with this one? Obviously, it's a heavier gauge. It's a little bit heavier, and also
Put it in your mouth.
What are
and
they?
dare
What are they
you.
scented with?
some of
Because that's not just plastic.
some of the
You dare me to put
Japanese
it in
baits
my
are
mouth?
actually
Do it, you wuss.
are actually. Can we get some cocktail sauce and some lemon, please?
It's not that bad.
Actually, some of these baits are infused with shrimp.
Yeah, they're live fish scented. Bite it. I dare
Yummy.
you.
You dare me to bite it?
It's just a shrimp
There
flavored
you go.
I'm
worm.
sure
Yeah!
I'm not gonna swallow it.
Yeah, let's get you one step further. It's like
No, I'm
gum.
not gonna swallow it.
Wow, you
I'm sure that I've eaten
destroyed
worse
it.
things in Korea.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So the Nico Flick is new. This approaches a new category of
Real quick, Prop 65.
Good thing we're not in California.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So, wacky worms, you cast them out. They pretty much lay horizontal to the bottom, and they flex and shake, and that's what makes fish bite them. They fall real slow. The Nico Flick is designed to be rigged more of a vertical standpoint.
Is
so,
it actually weighted like that then too?
Well, we have a heavier gauge nose,
Okay.
and that allows you to insert your tungsten or your finishing nails
Well,
or
there's
whatever.
there's more plastic there anyway, so
Right.
it's already heavier.
And then you hook it through the midsection, and it's designed then to stand and skip along the bottom.
Wait
So
a-
give them something they haven't seen before. You've got a bottom that's void of weeds, rocks. This will tempt a fish into bite like crazy. If you don't have any Nico Flicks, pick some up.
Well, that's awesome too. Early spring when the weeds are 3-4 when they're just coming up,
Yep.
because now you can drag through the weeds without having your hook in the weeds.
All right, dumb question. Here it comes. How the heck do you rig this thing where the nose sits down? Do you have to put a weight in it, or what?
You
How is
don't
your,
have to in real skinny water, but if you're fishing like more than 3 or 4 feet,
Yep.
what you do is just take a finishing nail and maybe even clip the head off the nail and shove it in there, or like EcoPro. There's other companies
Yeah,
that make tungsten
we
weights
carry
that you
some
shove
nose
right
weights.
in.
Yeah, they got a bunch. They're Nico.
But are
weights.
you hooking it more to the backside?
No,
of the,
towards the center ring. And I like to use O-rings with these
Yep.
because that way you get your hook in a real perfect angle, but you can rig it through the plastic as well.
Oh, okay. No, all right. Yep, that makes
You
sense.
put an O-ring on there. It's
yeah,
the
yeah,
right way to
yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah. I was still thinking. I was gonna ask, can you drop shot these
Oh,
as
for
well?
sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And now my mind was still in the drop shot world. You're talking wacky rigging.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Most people are going to wacky worm this with a number 6
Yep. Well,
octopus
the
hook.
Nico rig, Matt, is actually you put a little pin weight in the end here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
And then
stands.
it
Yep.
falls. But on a wacky.
But that's why it's really important to put the plastic O-ring on here.
Yeah.
Put your hook through that instead of through the plastic, because otherwise your hook's kind of sideways.
Well, like I said, I was gonna ask the question of drop shotting this one, and then I was still thinking drop shot because I'm like, when you drop shot, you're gonna rig this probably through the nose right
Yep.
here, right? Just a little
no.
bit.
Well, drop shotting.
Yeah,
yes.
if you're
But
drop-
you can
not
do it
wacky
either way.
rigging.
you can
do
wacky
it-
rig a drop shot.
Yep.
I've done that a lot.
Oh, just go through the. Oh, really?
Just like a wacky rig. Yep.
Huh.
See, really, all drop shot is a real convenient way to keep that bait up off the
Off the-
bottom.
yep.
That's all it is.
Yep.
You can put swim baits on there. You can put anything you want on a drop shot. It doesn't
Correct.
have to be. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Right. You're just trying to keep something in the strike zone
Right.
for a long period of time and impart a lot of action on it.
I like this worm. I guess I haven't played with this one. My fault for not playing with the flick shake a lot, but I think this is going to be a.
Oh, for sure.
Now this isn't brand new, right? This has been out for a while.
No, the Flick Shake's been out for a long time.
Right. That's all. Not.
But the
familiar.
Nico Flick is new.
Nico flick.
Relatively new.
And that's
Yep.
this one.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, I definitely got to get me some of those.
Before we leave soft plastics,
Also submit my pro staff application.
like I said, Brian, I know one guy.
I know a guy. You can go find him at the post office bar. try to win a free hat.
Talk to Dan.
Talk to Dan.
Nice.
So the Nico rig we talked about. The Ned rig is obviously really popular too,
Yep.
and we now have a product for that too. The Yami fish comes in about 8 colors and super buoyant and stands up nice and tall. And so we've addressed that market as well. So come in and look for the Yami fish.
It's amazing how well those work.
I don't
It's.
understand why.
I don't
but
either.
Just do it.
Have you fished it?
Yeah.
I don't know why it works, but it's unreal.
Yep.
Right.
I had a spot last spring. I was fishing. I was pretty.
What's the GPS coordinates?
Yeah,
I was
give me
pretty.
some numbers.
I was pretty confident. there was fish there, and I threw tubes. I was smallie fishing.
Yep.
I threw tubes. I threw drop shots. I threw all sorts of stuff in there. I couldn't get bit. I could not get bit. Switched up. I flipped the Ned rig in there. I must have caught 50 fish in the exact same spot. I never moved.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
I don't know what it is. If it's just a small minnow looking to it. I have no idea
Sometimes less is more.
Right. Right.
I have no idea, but man, it works.
Well, and that's what I like. I like finesse fishing, and that's why all this stuff is right up my alley. That's just what I grew up doing for bass, and just so much
yeah,
easier.
it's awesome.
Oh, this will knock your socks off if you like finesse fishing.
What
Now,
about-
this is the cover craw. This is a craw that we've had in the line the whole time. But one cool thing you can do with this, remember the flying lure?
Yep.
You could rig this backwards, so your hook is going to be between between the pincers, and you rig it so that your hook's exposed back here. You throw it against a dock, leave it on slack line, and it'll glide underneath the dock.
Really?
Oh, it's so cool.
Wow.
I'll have to try that.
You gotta try some of these. They've kind of
What makes it do that? Just how it's weighted?
just the thickness of the bait
Okay.
allows you to accommodate a J hook or I'd like to use like a smaller J hook is what I prefer to use. And then if you still have some storm suspend weights, you can put those
Ooh,
on.
we had a pile of
The old
those.
You can
suspend
put
dies.
those on the shaft of your hook and give it a little bit more forward weight action and get it to even in rougher water or deeper docks.
And the thing about it, a crawfish swims that way. They
Right.
dart like that. So, man, that's just going to reaction bite all day long.
And again, something they haven't seen before. Also,
boom, comes scooting
that's
by.
not another jig that just went ching 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 off the pontoon boat.
Right.
You know, it's going in there with no weight
Yep.
and silent. So.
Nice.
Now, the crosstail shad, this is one that, I mean, we're trying to hit bass and walleye. You could use this thing for walleye as well, right?
You bet.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
even rig it on a jig. It's primarily designed to be a drop shot
Yep.
a lure, but I've had some people come up from Shimano, and I took them to the Wolf River on the north end of Poigan, and I'm like, oh, I hope they catch some fish. This girl slammed me with plastics. I was using live minnows, and she was using all different kinds of Jackall soft plastic on a
They've
jig,
come
and she
soft,
smoked.
soft plastics have come so far in the last 5-10 years.
Well,
it's
and this
unreal.
thing almost looks like a tadpole.
Yeah.
If you feel, have you fished these before? That to feel the backside of it's like a
It's
pyramid.
a fin. It's like a fin.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
like
back.
a fin.
So it creates a lot of action again without having to be moved
That one-
very much.
This would be a great bait for skipping because there's nothing. If you want to skip on a jig, there's nothing there to catch the water.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
even
too.
cane beds for walleyes
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
Ooh.
And it comes in a lot of different colors too. So
I've never done that in all the years I've
For what?
Walleyes, fish the cane beds.
Oh, let's do it this year. We're in. Let's do it.
Every
Zach,
year.
Zach, write it down.
Every year. I'm
we
like,
got an 8'6" X Bride, a medium light. Tell me when you're going to do it because I want you to test
Okay.
it because
Yeah, I'll
I
do it.
think
I'm
that
in.
is just going to be.
I used to
I've
do that
never
growing
done
up.
that.
I loved it. Travis and I that's how we used to walleye
Yeah.
fish. We never trolled whatever. We just fished canes. And I've always said now with the way my bass boat's rigged out, with the talons and spot locks
it'd
and all
be
these
perfect.
things, that we could just go at them. I'm
We're-
in. Let's
now
do
were,
it.
were you just pitching or were you slip bobbering that or both?
I don't slip bobber.
Okay.
My first job at retail, I worked at Gander when there were 2 stores. That's how old I am. But Chris Gilman was my department manager in
Back
the
when
fishing
there was Gander stores.
Was my fish- but Chris Gilman was my Chris Gilman was my department manager at that Gander store.
Okay.
And
And he's a stick.
Him and his wife, it was really rough on Butamore. And just to get out of the wind, Chris was pre-fishing for a tournament, and his wife lost a fish. He goes, just jig over the side of the boat, and they're up
Yeah.
against a cane bed before you could go into them.
We can't go into them now.
Right.
Right,
But
right.
at the time, it wasn't an issue
Okay,
because
yep.
nobody was doing it. She misses a fish. She has one on for a little bit, and then she lands a 7-pounder. Chris buttoned up, left. Him and Matheson won the tournament from doing
By
that.
fishing the
I
cane
thought
bed.
that was pretty cool that I got to.
We'll do that this year. That's
I was
fun.
gonna say
That's a good time.
every year. That's all people talk about, and it's my style of fishing because it's relaxing. It's easy to do for the most part.
If you're relaxed and you're fishing, you're not doing it right.
Before we leave Jackall, there's a ton of topwater baits. The new Chop Cut is a very loud
Turn it
surface
this way
lure.
more, so there we go.
Yep, and it comes in it's a very bulky, high volume bait that cross over into pike fishing and light muskie.
That
too.
one's got your swivel or whatever on the end of it too, so should help with what fish hookups.
Line twist.
Line
Line
twi-
twist and fish hookups. Yep.
Right,
Yep, it can be run at a very low or high speed. So,
man, that thing's huge.
but we have a full complement of jerk baits and other baits like lipless crankbaits.
We talked about that on Wednesday. That's what I was throwing in Alabama was the disc knocker.
Yep.
That thing's awesome.
Actually, in Minnesota, this is becoming one of the leading walleye through the ice baits on the market.
It's got
Is a
such a
TN
unique rattle sound.
Yeah.
Like you said about skipping that crawl underneath Kevin, something they haven't seen before.
Right.
Every other rattle trap type bait out there, lipless crankbait's got the same. They got 100 BBs in them. Or whatever. This thing's got a real nice knocking sound to it. It's really cool.
And if you notice too on the TN60, TN70, there's
The tungsten nose.
It's a tungsten nose, so it helps dig in the current a little bit better too. So,
well, and I think it also helps. Like I was actually dragging those on bottom in Alabama,
really,
dragging them,
well, that's good to know.
and it was. I think that tungsten nose helps though because it makes that bait ride nose down. So when you're dragging, it keeps that front hook off the bottom a little bit.
So if you don't have some, throw a bunch of those in your box this year.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah.
If you're a smallie nut, like almost everybody here at the Real Shot is, where'd it go?
I was actually dreaming last night about catching smallies on top of water. That's how
Nice.
sick I am.
We've got the new riser bait. The Real Shot, a lot of it's online sales, but they can't get enough of these.
No.
It's just the hottest hard bait.
Now, have you
out
fished
there.
it?
I will be this spring.
I tried last year, and
I haven't yet.
I was not good at it.
It's a very random, erratic
Yeah.
lure that could be used
Yeah.
to.
I've seen videos
dive
where they
and
can get it
skip and
skip
dart.
off the water.
But it can almost, if you work it rapid enough, it can be used as a topwater bait too. It'll cast like a bullet, cover a lot of water. Go to YouTube,
Yep.
watch some videos
There's
on
some-
it
That's
because
what
it's
made
hard
me-
for me to sit here and
right,
go, it
but
does
that's
this and does
but
that.
that's what made
it's
me
very
realize that I
random.
sucked at fishing it because I
Right.
watched the guys on YouTube
Yeah.
from Japan fishing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how are they doing it? I mean, the thing's just skipping the water.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
It was awesome.
You got to experiment with different line
Yeah, I think
weights,
that's what
different
it was. I
styles
think
of
I was
the
throwing
line,
on too heavy
different
a line.
actions of rods.
Oh, and that's got rattles in it as well, or
Oh,
is
sure.
those
And
are
weight,
just weights?
like a little bit of a weight transfer
Yeah.
action to it.
Well, and Ty was saying they're coming out with a bigger size of this as well, right?
And it'll have a prop on the back.
Oh, nice. Now,
That's
this
almost not fair.
This
It's-
is-
yeah, that's
that's
exactly
almost
what I
not
was
fair.
thinking.
this isn't the one that you said you can catch walleyes on as well,
Oh, you
right?
can catch walleyes in anything, dude.
I know,
I
but
think
it-
I
one of the-
caught a walleye and a chug bug in
Yeah,
Ashland.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions with walleyes is that there's some mystical creature that only feeds on the bottom in rivers.
Yeah,
They're
oh,
not like that at all.
no. What was that lure where you got to fish it real slow?
Oh, the spy bait.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
We have that too in the iProp.
Yep.
And Jason, you guys sell a lot of those too.
Yeah, spy baits are awesome.
Yeah, this thing piques my interest. If you can get it to fish right,
There's nothing more fun than topwater fishing.
Oh, I love
There's nothing. I don't care. I've
especially
caught
for
fish.
smallmouth.
There's nothing more fun than catching fish in
The first
topwater.
week of June, that in skinny water, you're
Oh.
gonna just pound them.
Absolutely.
The best is I like fishing topwater at night after dark. That's because it's more of
That's all you hear.
Yeah, you just whoop. I've done that a couple times in Michigan. That's a blast. So cool.
Very
We got a lot
cool.
of people joining us as well. So obviously.
What do we got here? What's this?
I'm going to catch everybody back up. Remember, today, if Wild Miles is here till around 4 o'clock, if you come in and buy a Shimano rod or reel, he's going to spool you up with Power Pro. And you get your choice of a free hat as long as the hats last. So,
Reels. It's kind of hard to spool a rod.
did I say
Just
rod
buy
or,
a reel.
I said rod or a reel,
Just
didn't I?
buy a reel and the rod.
What? You know what?
No, but I'll be here till about 3 o'clock. And
Now he changed it. No,
Well,
you said 4.
Well, okay. 3 or 4. Maybe,
3 or
maybe,
4.
maybe I'll stick around till 5 and really bother you.
Yeah,
Hey,
well, don't
Zach.
wait.
Hey Zach,
Yes.
we're gonna have to keep him under control.
Am I wild today or what?
No,
I'll try.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna come on the show anymore because Matt holds him hostage. All
I know,
day.
right?
Right?
It's my job. It's my job.
Jackall also has a full complement of weedless frogs. The new Grinch is a paddle tail that you could throw right into the heaviest of cover, and again, give them something they haven't seen before. And again, crossover in our part of the world for northern pike.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
That's the Grinch.
Have you fished that? I haven't fished that one yet.
That
either.
I have not thrown yet.
Is that tail replaceable on there?
I believe it is. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, let's talk about this stuff.
All right. So Hayabusa.
I've never heard of this company.
There's a lot of hook companies out there.
I've never heard of it. But
the-
you said they're from where?
They're from Japan.
See, and then I asked, how does this compare to a Gamakatsu or an owner? And you said what?
They're the #1 selling bass hook in Japan. And if you consider Gamakatsu's from Japan,
Right.
owners from Japan,
That's
saying something.
yes. I'm totally I'm intrigued.
If
I know.
you think about Japan outside the saltwater market, all they really have to do is bass fish. So
Yep.
you
Right.
guys think that you're avid bass fishermen? The Japanese love bass fishing.
Oh yeah.
So, what I'd say one of the first selling points on Hayabusa is that they have this Teflon-like coating. I can't say Teflon because it's copyrighted, but it's
What do they call it?
It's an NEB coating. What it translates into
NRB
is
coating.
NRB coating. What that translates into is that the hooks are super slick, so you get better hook sets. They also have chemically sharpened hooks, and they have hooks and
What are you laughing
products
about, Matt?
that nobody else has.
NRB. It's got a different meaning.
Okay.
I'll tell you after the show. You'll laugh.
Speaking of unique,
I thought he was talking about the hooks are lubricated.
speaking of the,
In the water, they're lubricated, aren't they?
staying on topic.
This guy's got to keep us on topic.
I know. When's that ever
We did
happened?
have, I think that Drew Sedler.
I'm sure he's going to correct me on something.
No,
I
he
said.
says, "Where's the stand-up?" I mean, normally Miles comes in here with a pretty good joke, and we haven't heard one yet today. You got anything that's real
right.
TRS live
No, just
appropriate?
put him on the spot.
I know. But
Tanner, I'm sorry I told you this one last night, but this good old boy from Texas moves to Montana. And he walks in a local tavern, and the bartender says, what do you have? He goes, I have 3 tap beers. He gives him 3 tap beers. He sips from each one till they're gone. And he reorders. And the bartender says, those would taste better if you ordered them one at a time. They wouldn't go flat. He goes, oh, no, here's the thing, man. I just moved here from Texas, and every Friday night my brothers and I'd get together and drink some beer, and this kind of just makes me feel like I'm with them. The bartender goes, I get that. So this goes on for months.
the accent is the best.
It becomes a ritual. One night, about 2 months into it, he orders 2 tap beers, and he drinks from each one. He reorders, and this goes on for 10 or 12 rounds. Bartender walks up. He goes, everything okay? He says, yeah, why? He says, well, normally you order 3 tap beers, 1 for yourself and 1 for each of your brothers. Are your brothers, everybody okay? He goes, oh, hell yeah, man, everybody's fine. The thing is, my wife and I joined a Baptist church down the road, so I had to quit drinking.
That was awesome. Jokes are all in the delivery. Well done.
Yeah, good job.
All right.
That was
Class
good.
clown, Watoma High School, 1987. You're welcome.
That's a good one.
So as I touched on with Hayabusa having unique products, this trailer lock is one of the things that they got when I presented this line to the Real Shot that they just thought was the coolest thing.
Now, did you say we're one of the only places in the area that has this?
Yeah,
Hayabusa line?
you were the first guys that I presented this line to, and you jumped all over it. Virtually every bascue that Hayabusa makes, the Real Shot will have.
Ty is super giddy. He's checking that in right now as we're here, so it should be available today for sure.
So we talked about the popularity of swim baits, and this is going to really be a key accessory item if you throw a lot of swim baits. It's called the trailer lock. You see that?
Yeah, it'll be on the website here.
A little out of focus.
Yeah.
A little out of focus.
That's
So
all right.
if you can't, and you're probably not going to be able to see this really well
Well, that's what it looks
from
like here.
all the way over here, but think of it like a trailer hook, but it's really a trailer anchor.
Right.
Oh,
So you can see
yeah.
those 2 prongs.
Yeah.
Now you can take that and shove it especially as your swim bait gets more and more deteriorated from
Yep.
catching a lot of fish, like what happens with that
Other
brand
Yes.
that starts with a
Okay.
K,
Yes.
is you back your plastic up a little bit and shove these forks, which are hooked, into the plastic, and it'll last a lot longer. And
And
not
you-
just
and
for,
you
not,
don't-
not just for swim baits, but for trailers on spinner baits, trailers on your
Jigs.
jig and craw.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's a multitude of applications
Well,
for
you don't have
this.
to wait for it to dry. You're done. Now go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because the other trick to super glue, right? You super glue the bait to the jig head.
And then you're adding all
Oh.
kinds of weird scent.
Yeah, weird scent. You got to wait for it to dry, so you usually got to glue it and set it aside, cast something else for a
Right,
while. This
right.
is
You might
live,
have
ready
only
to
3
go.
baits left in your bag, and you're on a hot bite, and you're 5 miles from shore. This
Right.
will keep you fishing longer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's just a great accessory item.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it does come with a little bit more that rubber tubing or whatever. So as this on the top here wears out, you can put some new stuff on there.
Yeah, you just heat it up like shrink tubing, like electrical shrink tubing. So
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Really cool. Well, I mean, it's got to be saying something for a hook to be the #1 selling hook in Japan.
yeah, and a little other background. They were the first company, or they were the company that brought the Sabike rig to the saltwater market. That's that rig with multiple little plastic attractors that they catch bait on to go after the big pelagic species. So that's what they brought to market.
And
So
they got shaky hooks and weedless
super fine wire finesse
like
hooks
super
to the
fine
heaviest flipping hooks.
where
They
is
have
that one?
everything.
I mean,
think
that is
this-
crazy thin.
I think this is the one that Ty is really excited about, the FPP because it has the monofilament keeper on there.
Mm-hmm.
He's really excited about that one.
Nico rig.
Ty's
That's
excited
another
about
hook that you
everything.
could use for Nico rig and leave that hook exposed too. So
Right.
Very cool.
You might want to check inventory. If Ty's doing it, he might be one for him, one for store, one
Right.
for him, one for
That's
store.
okay.
Yeah, but that I know that one. I think Nate Hahn showed him that one like a year or two ago, and
Okay.
he definitely wanted it in the store. Right, Nate? Chime in. I know you're watching. He is. He's right there. It
Oh,
says his
okay.
name. But
Very
that coating is there's no other coating like that, right?
it's proprietary to us. It's a very slick surface. Basically, it aids you in setting the hook. It just slides better.
That's a big old hook.
Pretty cool stuff, man.
Cool.
Very cool. All right.
And they-
Treble hooks. They
treble-
got it all. How many SKUs does Hayabusa have? Do you know?
I want to say in the bass hook side, it's approaching 100.
Wow.
I'd have to pull up a
So
price
Ty's
list of
Ty's
them.
gonna be busy.
Yeah.
Between all the color hook sizes and styles, it's somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm just guessing.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
he's checking it in, and there's a pile of this stuff out there. He's pretty
Yeah.
stoked about it all.
No, that's awesome stuff.
Anything different to like their jig heads or anything like that are interesting? I mean,
Again, that coating, the chemically sharpened hooks.
are they tungsten?
There are some tungsten products in the line. Again, I just took this line on. I
Right.
apologize, guys. I've only been able to absorb so much in the short time that I've
Oh,
had
yeah.
this, but there's from my understanding, there's just a little bit of everything for the bass and walleye guy.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, too, that keeper on that or that weed guard looks like it's a different style of weed guard as well.
That almost looks like it's I don't know. It's almost like mono or something.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, come out and do a real shot and check it out firsthand. And
Yeah, you'll get a lot of people. Everybody's got cabin fever, so hopefully a lot
for
of people
sure.
come in.
tax returns.
Yes.
That too.
Spend it
That's why it's
before
a great
Uncle
day.
Sam
To,
gets it.
great day to come out and buy a Shimano rod and reel and get it spooled up.
For free.
Are you actually doing the line spooling?
I can.
Oh wow.
I've probably spun enough line in my lifetime.
Do I need to
go
have
the
you sign a
moon and
waiver?
back. I will not spool a plastic spool. I've done that plenty of times. Pop. Oh, that was my grandpa's Mitchell 308.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, man.
Very cool. Awesome, man.
That's a lot of good stuff there, and everything here is available at the Real Shot, obviously, if some form or fashion. If it's not today, it will be soon.
And if there's a reel like a Stella or any saltwater reel that you obviously can't find it at retail in this
Yeah,
area,
just let us know.
Any the Real Shot can order you any Shimano reel you want.
So say that one again. Everybody says it's Nasty.
Noski.
Noski.
Yep. What now that so the Symmetry was a $100 price point.
Yep.
So with the Noski, you got a Hagani body, Hagani gear, line propulsion. You have a very feature-rich reel. It's just a global marketing thing where Shimano spinning reels always started with a S.
Yeah.
So in Australia, they'd be called something different. Japan, they'd be called something different. So there's just a global marketing approach that
Yep.
Shimano's taken.
Now there's that. What is it? The Sensolite rod.
Yeah, the Sensolite rod is new. Brian, could you grab that for me?
Sure.
The Sensolite is a new series of rods we came out with the panfish / live bait fishermen in mind.
Yep.
It's a very affordable series that's balanced really nice, and it doesn't break the bank. I think $49.99.
Yeah.
There's one casting action and like 4 or 5 different spinning actions. But I was excited because I just got my samples a couple weeks ago, and here you guys had one waiting for me. So that's great.
Yep. We got quite a few of those in stock right now. Those are pretty cool looking rods.
And
yeah,
that does.
I
if
mean,
you're-
this is such a great action for guys who want to run like a 16th-ounce walleye jig and also run it as a slip bobber rig for bluegills. It's just so versatile.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was gonna say if you're a big pan fisherman, and you don't see the value in ultralight tackle for that because you want to run your 6.6 stuff for everything all year, whatever. It's so much more fun to catch bluegills and panfish on a setup like this.
Yep.
It just makes it so much more fun.
Yep, and it's hard to find a rod at $49.99 that feels good when you shake it these days. And this thing feels dynamite.
Right. I noticed too, like going to that longer length was more important for hook sets when you're bobber
Yeah.
fishing.
Well, you get a longer cast too.
Yep.
Because you're not throwing heavy things, so you get a lot longer cast with a longer rod.
And then when your slip bobber goes down and you have a longer rod,
Better hooks.
you're pulling the bobber up through the water column instead of dragging it through the water and not getting contact with the fish. That's the big thing with the longer rod for slip bobbers.
Yeah, well, I was always having issues with that when I first started, fishing really. You think you're ultralight like a 5 foot or something like that, 5'4", but in your bobber, you miss so many hook sets with it.
Or we talked about fluorocarbon leaders. Guys are even on open water now are using 2-pound fluorocarbon leaders. Well, you have to have a long enough rod to handle a long leader in order to get it out.
Get it out there.
How long do these come?
I think 7 foot.
I think we have some 7-footers.
You guys are really spraining on me today. Otherwise, I'd have my head in the catalog. But
I just wonder if it came in like an 8 foot. That would be awesome.
Not at this point, but I'm going to try to convince them because there are a lot of guys who are really hardcore when it comes to slip bobber fishing for panfish.
Big time.
Oh, yeah.
Not just for filling the freezer, but it's like their passion.
Yeah.
Well, the longer rods have a couple things. Obviously, the better casting and those type of things. They're also great for off the shore.
Yeah.
Yes.
The longer rods, if you're fishing off a dock, it's almost like a modified cane pole sort of type of deal.
And even a sitter pole for walleyes in the current. If you're fishing the fox or the wolf, and you want to set it up so that you've got an egg sinker, and it just hits the bottom, crank it up a half a crank so that when the boat rocks, it turns flat. Well, you're basically using it like a cane pole, like you said. It's at 7/6 medium light on up. That's a great application for that series too.
I'd be curious. I wonder if they make like a trout version of this, like a 6 foot or less. That would be a good trout rod as well.
Mm-hmm. For throwing spinners on the Willow Creek and things like that.
Yep.
Very, very cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, that's a lot of good information.
Anything new from Loomis?
Yeah, G. Loomis has a Conquest series, and that is right here. Now, again, that uses a Spiral X technology, which is came over from the Shimano side. So the NRX I mentioned, super sensitive, super lightweight, and then this is Spiral X on top of it, so it's going to be stronger. Now, this has the mag bass action, so it's not going to be quite as fast of a tip. It's going to be more, not parabolic, but it's more of a slow taper, more designed for the bass market. So if you're familiar with the Loomis mag bass actions, it's more along those lines.
They don't give these away.
Nope.
Well, the Zodiac's ain't a cheap rod
No.
Well, Zodiac is 200.
I'm a big believer in rods. I mean, it's your connection to the fish, and you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
Right. You do. I mean, rods and fishing, you get what you pay for.
Casting.
It's the same thing like we talk about archery all the time on here, because Matt's a diehard archery guy. You get what you pay for in bows.
Right.
You get what you pay for in rods. It's the same thing. It doesn't look like there's a lot of technology there, but there is a ton of engineering and technology in a rod.
And one of the most basic things you can do to tell the quality of a rod, too, or how functional it's going to be on the water, is just to take it and smack it against your forearm and see how fast it recovers.
Oh.
A cheap rod with a lot of composite material in it will just flail around.
Right.
When you have a high modulus graphite rod, it'll recover faster. That's why you see guys doing that.
Very, very nice.
I always see them where they take the rod tip and put it on the floor.
I do that. You're testing the rod
or the
action
ceiling.
that
You're
way.
just seeing what the action is.
You're seeing where it bends.
Yep.
Gone are the days of putting it against your buddy's throat and feeling.
Oh, that was a great sales. That was a great sales trick when nobody knew it though. I had people just go, "Wow!" back in the '90s. I was like, "That's incredible." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
I'm Miles. That's pretty cool stuff.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for coming in, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
great.
We'll be
Glad you
doing
made it
some
in.
Corrado DC casting demonstrations here today too, and
We're
we're
gonna go
try
live with any of that. Just throw it on Facebook.
Yeah,
live
I
or
can.
something?
We'll just go live.
I know
with
Zach's
it.
got to get out of here
Zach's
today,
bouncing.
but we can handle
I'll
it.
just do it live.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Let's do it live.
it's gonna blow your mind.
Yep.
The way I demonstrated, it's just you're gonna be like, I gotta have.
Well,
it.
what a perfect day. I mean, it's kind of windy and crappy outside. I mean, you're going to be able to throw into the wind.
Your teeth don't hurt when you breathe, at least.
Yeah, right?
That's a bonus.
That is
Very
a
true.
plus.
Very true.
That is
Very true.
We might even. There's so much water in the parking lot. We might even catch a bass or so.
56 degrees. 56 degrees tomorrow.
Yep.
Or get the waders.
Very nice.
Get them out.
Heck yeah.
Well, cool. Remember that today, I'm going to draw it one more time. Miles is splurging. He's going to give away some hats. The supplies are quite limited, but I think we got a good selection of PowerPoint in here.
Power Pro.
Power Pro.
God, I don't know, dude.
PowerPoint? Did you
PowerPoint.
just say PowerPoint?
Yeah,
He did.
I was going to. Power Pro.
We are handing out PowerPoint
He didn't say.
sneakies
He didn't
today.
say. He didn't say Fireline.
Yeah, I did swear.
Thank you.
But you're gonna spool up some people if they buy a rod or a reel here. Obviously, you buy a reel, but if they buy a rod, you're gonna throw them a hat as long as we have some hats left. So don't wait on that. And then we still have that CI4, the giveaway going on for that kind of stuff. There's 8 days left of that. So, Zach, I'm going to pass it on to you. Go ahead.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I don't know what else you wanted me to cover, but if it's just wrapping up everything, remember to head on over to our Instagram. Follow us at TRS Outdoors. Over on YouTube, The Real Shot. Check out TRSOutdoors.com. For that giveaway. I put a link there in the comments below.
Saw that.
Everything else, just look us up, The Real Shot. We're on Twitter, too. And remember, with this video, too, like, comment, and share, just like we have right on the screen for you. So everything helps us grow. And the more we grow, the better content we can bring you. So
And now we are not doing a show Friday and or Monday.
Correct.
We'll be back
We'll be
Wednesday.
online. We'll be live a
We'll
little
be
bit while
live,
we're
but
there.
we won't be
Right.
in
We
this
won't be in
format
studio.
Right, we're probably going to go live like we did at ATA
Yep.
with the lunch break type deal, and
Yep.
if we find some cool stuff.
It would
but-
pale in comparison to what we pulled off
Oh,
today.
Oh,
man.
absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
who wants to have an interview with KVD?
Yeah, no.
I mean,
Is that the goal? Is that what we're going to start?
No, I
Get,
just-
get Jonathan in here. At least he's sponsored by us
who are the top Shimano guys on the
on the bass
at the
side.
well? We're going to the Classic Friday, so who are the guys that we should be?
I'm not that connected with the bass market. You want to
Okay.
go online and check that out. But
Okay.
KVD's like one of our biggest names that we have out there.
Is he a Shimano guy, obviously?
I don't know.
Shimano G. Loomis.
Nice.
Powerful.
Nice.
Is he now? When did he switch?
Oh, he went Sturgeon Bay with us. That had to be 4 or 5 years
Okay.
ago.
Yeah, so we leave for the Classic on Friday. We'll be back Monday afternoon, so we'll be live again in the studio on Wednesday morning. Not sure what we're talking about yet, but
Well, it'll be the Classic.
Probably talk about the Classic. You know, that
Probably.
big event thing that we're going
Yeah,
to
that
for
we're
4
flying
days?
to Knoxville for.
I was
you
just
know.
hoping that we're not talking fishing anymore for a
Oh
while.
boy.
Turkey hunt's coming up, boys. Let's get jacked again for turkey hunt. But I wanted to plug. You killed a deer with some fixed strings that we put on for you, right?
Yeah.
Brian had mentioned I'm an archery nut, but I wanted to say that Miles, we did a set of strings and cables for his bow, his Hoyt, and he went to what, Mexico?
Mexico.
Sli-
Just Nuevo Laredo, and it was really cool. I had a pet 10-pointer that spent the whole day with me. The next day, nobody ever sits all day. Got the guy to get back. He goes, Miles, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I've never had anybody sit from sun up till sundown. I'm like, well, I'm in an office chair
Right.
in a blind, and it's 70 degrees. I'm not hanging from an oak in 35-mile-an-hour winds the first week of November in Wisconsin. This
Right.
is pretty easy.
Yeah, right.
But anyway,
I
so
was gonna say we all sit all day.
Yeah.
so it was really cool that morning. The next morning, I was fully waiting, gonna sit all day again, same blind, and then my pet 10-pointer shows up, and he looks across the pen. They build a pen around these feeders to keep the javelin out, and all of a sudden my buck comes up, and he faces off with that little buck, and he's at 35 yards, and I'm gonna do it. He looks up at me. I must have touched my bow against the side of the blind. They're not really spooky. But right then the feeder went off, and poof, they all take off. And I keep my bow in my hand because they always come back. They chill out, Miles. They always come back. And here he comes 20 yards right to the heart.
Nice.
And I couldn't have done it without my custom-made string from the Real Shot.
Yeah, booyah, the fix custom. So, well, on that note, we can wrap it up after we got that plug in there as well.
Nice job,
so
nice job.
we'll see everybody next week, Wednesday. And remember, Miles is here, so come meet him and talk to him and ask him any good questions. And I'm going to sign off with be safe, and we'll see everybody next week.